professionalinvestor.ca's 1 hour of PMA injection, whether you like it or not. And we're live on YouTube. I have no idea if anybody's going to be watching us on the public, but what the hell. We'll give them a nice little treat of what we do Monday to Friday, every day. Wow, that was like an announcement from boxing. Ding, 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 ding. And in this corner, we have, let's see who we got here in the ring today. Oh, we got the Cavarcanator. Do you really want to mess with this badass? And I'm just having fun here. Do you really want to mess with these guys? I mean, this is the kind of shit you're getting in the ring with here at, at TRI. Oh, and I see somebody decided to leave. But you got to be fully prepared to, let's see, how do we do this? And I'm just having fun. But what the hell? These are the kind of people that you're messing with at TRI. Do you want to get in the ring with these guys? They will mess you up. And you want to, here's proof of the pudding. These guys, they just stop this bull in its tracks. They're in there, both of them. I think both of these guys had their sell orders working up here. So, and do we care? I mean, we're here to make money from trading, right? But long and short of it here is half of what we do here is all about PMA. Just trying to have a good time, learn, put yourself in a position of strength. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Trade your setups and get in there and make money from trading. So thank you, gentlemen. Great job. In fact, I don't know. That kind of looks like a boy, but that might be a girl. I don't know. Tough to say. Okay, so what do we got on docket today? Obviously, not a bad idea for us to take a look at yield Bitcoin and on our I think, you know, on the site we cover the broader market, and in our daily briefs we talk a little bit about S&Ps and bonds and currencies and all that kind of fun stuff. We had our weekly meeting, so we're all ready to go for econs coming up through the week. It's interesting that we have a Bank of Canada interest rate decision coming up. Canadian dollar's been doing some fun things recently, but we're going to leave that conversation for this particular show, because primarily we just want to concentrate on crypto here. And what the heck is going on? You know, I'll maybe just do like a 5-minute blurb on sort of, you know, what Brian's thinking here longer term. We've been following this parabolic move now off of the very well-defined weekly bottom. And if anything, guys, I think this is an excellent testament. Just simply, if you want to invest in assets, you should really try and concentrate on reload zones, just exactly like Bitcoin did, I guess maybe about a couple years ago. So really, and this is the sad part for, you know, Joe Sixpack, right? They often come to me and say, well, Brian, I didn't even know about Bitcoin when it was bottoming. Well, gee whiz, that's exactly what happens. Is assets bottom, they go through the very normal respective W process. In Bitcoin's case, you can clearly see the Wing out on this weekly price chart. And I often tell our new investors, people who just joined our education program, you want to start from a position of strength, go and find me weekly W's. This is the shit, as they say. So here we are now, and of course that's a million bazillion gazillion years ago, and price has now basically gone 20x off of that bottom. 20x, people. You know, I find it amusing that people are like, you know, just sort of casually, Bitcoin's $5,000, $6,000, $6,000 a coin. What's 6,000? And I'm sitting here going, $6,000 a coin. Jesus H Christ. This is a lot of money for one of these silly things. I know a lot of people make this argument about, well, it's a new paradigm and each one of these things should be worth $100,000 a piece. I think there's somebody who's going to eat a body part of his if Bitcoin doesn't reach that level, and that obviously is going to be an interesting story to follow going forward. If anything, that gentleman told us what his cost to produce a Bitcoin is. That's probably, you know, we can either A, get swept up in the romanticism of a story, and that's great. You know, and when I was a broker, I used to run into this all the time. There would be people that were doctors, lawyers, accountants, whatever, just doing their regular life. And they needed to be long a story so that when they went to the cocktail parties, they could all just sort of, you know, rubbing elbows with their peers, go, oh, yeah, I'm long Apple. Are you long Apple? Yeah, I'm long Apple. Geez, look how smart we are. And I used to see this all the time. There was a company in Canada called Nortel Networks that really just literally sucked the entire country into the long side of the story. And then the entire country went down the drain when that thing went belly up. Perfect example of, you know, do we really want to, keep in mind, what are we here to do? Are we here to be popular? Are we here to be part of the in crowd? And make a conscious decision with yourself about that. Or are we here to make money from trading? Be very careful in trying to define those. It's really important here, guys. And of course, somebody here is saying we're here to woot woot, whatever the hell that means. But I'm trying to be serious here on a note. And what we have to seriously ask ourselves is, you know, if you're going to go and buy one Bitcoin here, what is the statistical probability of the risk versus reward on a trade like this? You know, maybe you're saying, hey, Bitcoin's going to go to 10,000. But if you're going to go and buy a Bitcoin here, do you fully appreciate the amount of risk that is in this market? I would argue this is an extremely risky market right now. And tragically, like all of you guys that are here to learn this profession, right? And you're not here to be part of the popular crowd. You're not here to be in the in crowd and let's all circle jerk about how wonderful this story is. We're here to make money from trading, right? We have to fully appreciate how risky this asset really is right now. So, and it doesn't surprise me, the public is coming in all rah, rah, rah. I don't think it's in our best interest to call tops here either, because I have seen repeatedly in the past, sometimes these actual tops that come in here are just absolutely insane. And frankly speaking, even people that were on the site, Kevin, you remember we were sitting last, and I always like to pull up Kevin because he's got a dear place in my heart. But do you remember we were sitting in the lounge, and I often make reference to this, last February. Where the hell's February on this? That was when Bitcoin was sitting at around, I don't know, what the hell number is this? Less than $1,000 for one coin. And people really were not interested in the space that much. And he and I were just grinding through charts, looking for reload zones, looking for convarkinators. He didn't even know what a convarkinator was at that point, but I think he understands and trades it now. And the simple fact of the matter here is, if we looked at an altcoin and the chart looked like that, there's no way we would be even thinking about buying. So why would Bitcoin be any different, right? How this story ultimately ends, frankly speaking, nobody knows. And I would even argue that you can't write a better story with whatever actually is the story that brings an end to this bull. It's impossible. You can't write better fiction than reality. So our job, of course, is we are long off the bottom. And the great part about what we do at TRI is we actually mine and want to build our Bitcoin balance trading altcoins. And we're just having a great old time doing that. Banged off a huge winner here today. And as this thing's working up here, I'm not necessarily going to quote unquote call tops, but I am going to very comfortably just keep spoon feeding the market, just exactly as I do in altcoin land. as these things go up, I just spoon feed the market coin. And the cool part about this thing is I don't know where the top is. I was in a meeting an hour or two ago, and somebody realistically said, well, the fundamental consensus is this thing could easily be 2 or 3 times what its current price is. I can't run a business based on that kind of hopium. I can run a business of a set action plan that if an asset does that, I will act, and that's basically what this sell off on a double strategy is. I don't know where the top is, but I can tell you for damn sure I got my next order working right up top here, and I'll be more than happy to spoon feed the market some more coins if they decide to take this thing up here. Well, same thing with Bitcoin. No real difference here. Where's our weekly chart? And you can see we even have marked on it. And I put out tweets recently. I said, you know, little old lady better get her next sell order working. I don't know if we're going to get up there, but if there's some sort of insane face rip rally that ends this final bull, she might just get a fill up top here at 10 G's. It's totally possible. In fact, she's sitting at what, 8,800 right now. Now that's sort of big picture, right? If I wanted to invest in Bitcoins, I got to just cool my jets, wait for the frivolity to pass. It might take 6 months. It might take a year. It might take a couple years. And I got to wait for the next big honking W to come in on the weekly price charts when I know Bitcoin is a good investment. Right now, it's an extremely speculative, extremely dangerous investment at these levels. On the short term, as I said, I am thinking about actually liquidating and taking profits. I put this chart out here recently, and it's just such a beautiful, simple illustration of a trading setup that I learned years ago that got me funded as a crude oil proprietary trader. It works. I mean, it's just beautiful how it works. And here is a perfect example where we're just simply going to anticipate, if you will, a harmonic AB equals CD price action. If we have an initial push higher and then a consolidation, and we don't consolidate more than 66% of that move, then we start to go sideways and start to put in higher lows and higher highs. Then you start, all you do is you just replicate this range, break it into quarters, and you're going to basically risk the bottom part of the quarter looking to make the top 3 quarters. And in essence, that's basically what just happened here. It's just is absolutely beautiful. Frankly speaking, I think it was just shocking. Interesting. Somebody said, well, Brian, don't you really like to have 3 serious lows to work with? I'm going to just simply say that the actual bot levels, they don't even give a rat's ass. It doesn't even matter to them. That's really a function of your sort of personal comfortability, Wayne. And what it's going to take for you to be able to come into the market and just take trades on a consistent basis. And if we drill down to like the daily, well, actually, I guess this is the daily. I suppose, you know, and I remember when this fractal came in the lounge, we had some site members that are just like, holy Jesus, that's a buy signal of buy signals. I got to get in there. And it's just an interesting illustration of the bot, just the setup levels. Whether you decide to take this fractal, it's enough anecdotal evidence for you to feel confident in taking this trade. Wayne, that's entirely up to your sort of personal comfortability ratio. Does that make sense? Because it's the bot setup. Why pick 33? All right, yeah. So Midnight Rider asked actually a very pertinent question. This has absolutely nothing to do with fibs, Midnight Rider. Okay, please understand that. Nothing to do with fibs whatsoever. Does that make that nice and easy? We settled that pretty quickly. So, and the interesting thing about it, in our education program, we actually teach harmonics as a trade location setup tool. Ironically enough, the bot has absolutely nothing to do with harmonics either. And to a classic harmonic trader, this concept of the bot is actually sacrilegious. It's like you're breaking the covenant. To harmonic traders, this is actually the trade location, and technically speaking, this is what we call a PRZ, or potential reversal zone. So, interestingly enough, to classic harmonic traders, there are some guys that would actually just hit that thing, just short that bitch right there. So me personally, I'd like to see a little bit more anecdotal evidence build to justify shorting here. But can you guys see? I can sort of see it because I've been playing this game forever. But do you see how the push to new highs here? It wasn't nearly as dramatic as this push here. Do you see what? And who can sort of front run me here? What am I thinking? If I see a push to new highs, higher highs, Brian says W's are bulls. I said W, bull, buy, bull, show me new high and I'll show you buy. But maybe this might be problematic internally. Anybody kind of feel where I'm going with this? Ah, excellent, Wayne. So if we actually go into our indicators and we start looking at momentum, we see, oh, hello, Willie's nice and stupid. So the market is overbought. You got no business being a buyer up here. No business whatsoever. Temper, very good payment. And you can see that on this push to new highs, there is a potential divergence forming. It's not confirmed yet. We'll know that the divergence is confirmed when we get the nice move through the middle part of the M on a push to new highs. So at best, what we'd say is we have potential trade location. We have the market egregiously overbought. We're just waiting now for anecdotal evidence that price is actually weaker than what price would lead you to believe. And, that's the technicalese. I hope all of you, what you see here is, according to bot traders, this is an exiting event. Does that make sense, guys? For all our level oneers, what are we supposed to be thinking at these AB equals CD objectives? Do we have any current level oneers here? Excellent. That's right. We should be thinking about taking profits on long trades. We didn't know whether this thing was going to work. It worked. Fucking pay yourself, people. All right. So the point of the matter here is we've rallied up into an objective. Hopefully we, in your brain, in your mind's eye, hopefully everybody can see that the professionals, you should have been hearing the cash registers going off in your brains. Cha-ching, 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 ding, 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 right? Does that make sense? Now, what would maybe be driving price up here? Is there any fundamental event that's going on in crypto land that might be driving price here? That's right, the fork. And let's see if any of you guys can remember. And actually, we should probably check in on the YouTube page. I don't really pay attention to it while this thing's on. But, hey, look at that. We got a bunch of people over there. Hi, guys. What did we say? Let's leave this open to the YouTubers. What did we say that Mr. Hoagland, and Hoag, if you're watching this video, I sure miss you, buddy. And Nebraska, make money from trading, Nebraska. What do we say that they insisted on if we ever coming into a fundamental event window while trading crude oil futures? Are we supposed to do something? Big fundamental event coming? What should you do? Excellent. Payment says run. Day traders who are swing trading and they want to just keep all their money in cash, that's not a bad idea. Just GTFO. Really, Casey said it, professional answer. Gentlemen and ladies, excuse me, square your positions. Square your positions. you're still in that position and there's an EIA report coming out in 5 minutes and they're expecting a drawdown of 10 million barrels, what the fuck are you still doing in there? You still want a job here or what? I mean, I can't stress enough. In essence, what I see here is the pros are probably just hopping off and just going to let things settle down, right? And if we look at the futures markets on OKCoin forwards, these things are up and down like a horse drawers all through here. It's interesting too how when we look at like lower time frame, on the site, I talk repeatedly with our daily briefs. When I say what? I say so many things, Kevin. And I'm sure, is Paul here? Paul's going to be grabbing sound bites right, left, and center. And anybody watching on YouTube, on the Twitter, on internet, oh my God, we have so much fun on the site. I have a whole bunch of funny little expressions, and one of our site members, gotta love him, big kisses to you, Paul. He put a little web page together with all the little sound bites. It's so much fun. And in essence, what yeah, got it? All right, good. So who can tell me what's the sound bite that we've been playing recently here? Does anybody have the link up quickly and I'll just post it? Let's see if I can find it. It should go something like this. Are we ready? Here it goes. Oh, is it not going to play? Oh, come on. Play for me, baby. Play for me. Maybe I have to update this. Wow, 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 wow. Come to me. Come to me, baby. I didn't do that very well. But the bottom line here is, I'm going to put that away, is that I believe that if we look at this chart, A, B, C, D, and we look at this cute little, this is what's called a crab, this X to A to B to C to D, they're both objectives are 1618 fib extensions or this 6220 area. And as well, we've been talking about how is the market going to act into this fork event, and our previous fork was back here. We had sort of a big dump, then a massive counter trend rally right back up to the highs end of the range, then consolidation, and here was the forking event date. Turns out it wasn't really that big of a deal, so as a result, price continued its march higher. So here we are. Remember what Nebraska tells us, and the Hogue. And also looking at other price charts, we came into some AB equals CD bot objectives. We also, was really interesting just the other day, we had this massive hammer pattern that came in, and everybody was in shock and awe over this. But what I found really interesting about the hammer is technically the hammer itself actually is a price objective, right? You could argue this is an AB, and then if we consolidate the hammer, CD, or if you just take the entire range of the hammer itself, and if we can accept above the hammer's high, then in essence, that's a price objective. And do you guys all see that through the weekend, doink, hit that objective, and then just backed off? Really nothing out of the ordinary here whatsoever. And anybody who's trying to watch these videos and say, Brian, I love your rhetoric, it's that's all it is opinion, and hopefully all of you guys get some good, positive karma out of Brian's antics, his funny little expressions, PMA. We want to have fun at this. But here is an excellent example of something that, if you're watching on YouTube, right, take a screenshot of that. This is what hammers do. And it should not surprise us that we rallied right up into the exact equal distance of that and then faded. No surprise whatsoever. What I can also see too, right, and if you want to take a screenshot of this, is these harmonic patterns. And like I just did with our little soundbite, what ends up happening is this almost just becomes like the market just gets sucked into this level. And that's exactly what I see happening here. The market is just getting sucked into it. Now, we've got this big fundamental event, right? Like we said, those people that were long off the bottom, you should be taking profits in here. And for the record, I didn't take this trade in particular, but for the record, everybody should understand I do have orders working to spoon feed some more coins up in this area. Be more than happy to let a few more coins go up here. All right, and then the other side of this fork event, and this is what worries me, is usually harmonic traders, and like I said, we have two very powerful harmonics, sort of like a double hit to the chops here. This, again, like we said, we call this our PRZ, potential reversal zone. So if you see price just blast through here, we have to respect what price is telling us. And remember, when we looked at our charts from this perspective, right, we don't have the confirmed divergence just yet. Yes, Willie is stupid. You got no reason buying this market whatsoever. But as you can see from the volume perspective, and this is really cool. And I guess about 2 or 3 weeks, we'll do the volume impetus study for the level 1ers. Level 2ers, alumni and stuff. Can you see the bulls slowly falling asleep here? So if we do a volume bar, and it looks like it's going to be this date, if we do a daily bar on Stamp where it does less than 8,000 on an up day, you'll know that the bulls are falling asleep. So really, really good anecdotal evidence of that volume impetus study there. 1 high, 2 highs, and you can even see the bull tried to come out, but gee whiz, not that strong. If we get an up day now where it's very, very low volume, watch out. As well, too, hopefully everybody can see the OBV divergence that's building here. Again, same sort of thing as our momentum divergences. Everything's building right at the moment, but we're not just quite there yet. Change says this sell-off was just a retest, in my opinion. Come on, pump it to my 666 target. Time will tell. Well, and the great part about that change is I totally respect your opinion. If you've done your analysis and you have your levels, and frankly speaking, I like that kind of number as sort of a big psychological magnet, then live by the sword, right? Define your setups. Make sure you don't take too much risk on any one trade. And I want to see you the day that hits 6666. I want to see you in the lounge posting, there's my fill, there's my fill, there's my fill, right? And that's really what a trader's life is all about. Define what it is you're going to do, define how you're going to act, and then when it happens, I want to see you act, right? You with me? All right. So my general advice to the viewing audience, especially the public, is be very careful through this fundamental event window. I believe that people have bid up Bitcoin price to try and get the BTC gold dividend. But I've also kind of heard that there's some monkey business going on around this. When are they marking that people actually own the coins? And then when are they going to get the dividend? It's kind of like in the stock market, we do record date versus ex-dividend date. I've also heard conversations about massive uncertainty around this SegWit event. And that's what actually worries me, is I actually think the market is doing what I'm kind of expecting here into this fork. And I think there is a lot of uncertainty around this event. And this kind of scares me because we're sitting right up at the top of the range. We're coming into harmonic levels, so the harmonic guys are going to be paying attention. We've got a fundamental buying event window coming in here, so it makes sense why price is being bid up. What's going to happen on the other side of this window? And that does concern me a bit here, guys. Strict harmonic traders, if we do fail up at these 1618s, they're going to be looking for 38.2s tested just right off the bat. And you can see that's that big psychological $5,000. So if anything, and this was sort of coming out of our meeting today, is I'm going to just be listening to the market, how it behaves through here. And if we get any sort of, solid divergence structure kind of stuff coming in, well, my target has got to be, at the bare minimum, a correction back down to 5,000. Of course, we talk about wicks and tails being eaten down the road. These hammers, and it looks like we're going to do another hammer here, so that might push us up into my ultimate objective here. But these tails will want to be eaten at some point down the road, and you notice that this tails low here is 5101. If we have to correct in earnest, I could very easily see us come back down to the sort of 37 to 4200 area, or basically play around this psychological level, 5,000 or 4,000. So please be cognizant. There is a bit of risk building even for the short-term traders, and we've got a very ugly fundamental window coming up here. So be careful, people. Okay, I think I'm going to leave Bitcoin analysis at that for now. To toot my own horn, this is basically why I do this. I had no idea that this thing was going to take off like this today. I'm not going to say I had no idea. It was interesting. I was watching this thing through here, and it just felt very uppy. Didn't think we were going to get a double off here today, but what the hell? Profit is a profit is a profit. I don't think it's a good idea to get into the habit of telling markets where they're going to go. If anything, you just want to build your plans that when they go to your levels, you're ready there, ready, willing, and able to pull the trigger. So we're just banging off doubles, just running our book of business, just slow and steady wins the race. I did notice, and it's interesting how back in the and for the public record, please understand I'm taking lots of profits in crypto. Our cash reserves now, I've built them up to about $50,000 or $60,000. Got about 10, 20,000. Let's call it 10. In a combination of other crypto hedges, things like Factum, NVT, SBD, the GOLD. So interestingly enough, actually my direct crypto exposure is coming down over time. But the irony of it all is, even at present, I'm still sitting on, like I said, I pulled about 50, well, we'll call it 50,000 even in cash out of the market, and we've got our gold proxies and stuff, and I'm still sitting at about 105,000 sitting just in direct crypto exposure here. So go figure. I'm fairly heavily invested, but as you saw from that, I've only got about, and keep in mind I've been selling the whole way up here, but I've only got about 4.5, on the Trex account. In sort of purchasing power, I've only got about 4 or 5 Bitcoin left on the books here. And as I said, I'm more than happy on Bitcoin. If we need to, I'm going to keep spoon feeding as we work our way up here. Okay, so let's go take a look at some ideas you want me to look at, and then we'll send you guys on your way. Okay, does anybody remember, and didn't we volunteer somebody that they were going to take on the job of posting where we left off? Neo, are you here? Does anybody remember where we left off on Friday? I seem to remember EDG. Didn't we look at that? Might have been there. Let's start off with BLK. So we've only got, I remember we looked at ETC. Remember that? All right. Anyway, well, let's, for the YouTube community, because they don't get this very often, we'll start at EDG and see what we got. EDG. Jesus, so many EDGs. Well, we'll go relative to Bitcoin. Woo, there's an exciting chart. Okay, it looks like she's right down at the bottom end of her range. Oh, interesting level here. I seem to remember that, didn't we talk about this on Friday? I seem to remember we were going to watch whether this thing was going to bottom through here. So they lost those lows, had to come basically down against the bottom here. If we put in a nice little inside bar there, that could look really interesting. I guess I don't have all on my... indicator. So, and hopefully people are starting to get sort of used to my language here. But little old lady nibbles, it's not a terrible idea. Yeah, I remember we looked at this and I said that I really didn't like the look of this divergence. I think we still need to have a nice serious test of this low somewhere down in here for me to really feel positive about this div. But nonetheless, you can see there is a smattering of one. Really interesting to see OBV and Willie trying to W here at the same time. So if we see buyers actually step up here and confirm the W in OBV, then actually we have a nice little momentum trade there. As we said earlier, we have a nice little inside bar coming in. So, kind of nibbles. You want to take a shot trying to pick lows here. It's not a terrible idea, but at the same time, moving average is still very much negative. No reason to be thinking bull there just yet. And I don't know. It's sort of, yeah. Considering also, too, we're coming into year end here. Probably a lot of tax loss selling. Probably, and you guys probably see me do this a lot on these charts, you're probably going to see some sort of like saucer bottom here. I wouldn't be surprised if it has to look something. In fact, probably go into the end of the year, but probably something like this. So huge battle level here. If we lose this, then expect saucer-rama. And as we said, there's just no uptrend here to work with just yet. Big hurry up and do nothing there. All right, who's next? BLK. Let's see what we got there. Oh, before we move on, probably should just do a quick mention of Ethereum. From what I understand, I teased you there, Michael. Sorry. From what I understand, Payman tells us that the fork seems to have gone relatively smoothly, and he uses ETH quite a bit, and he's even seeing, anecdotally, he's telling us, he's even seeing that the network seems to be moving a little bit more smoothly. So that's encouraging. Correct. Oh, good. So at least I am on page there. That's good. Point that I would just make here, though, is this Radion's ICO is still sort of hovering out there. And this Trezor, am I pronouncing that correctly? If anybody has a link and you want to post it there specifically about the news. Tezos. Yeah, it wasn't even close. It turns out, and I've often warned people that the irony of bull markets is while the bull market is raging, and it's going parabolic, usually the scandal or the disaster that's going to bring the end to the bull is usually actually underway. It's actually happening as the bull develops. Then the scandal breaks, a whole bunch of people get absolutely screwed, and lawsuits start flying right, left, and center. End of your bull. So we should all, as a community, keep a real close eye on how this Tezos story unfolds. Because I got a funny feeling, I'm not necessarily saying that this is the scandal, but it's got all the hallmarks of a real problem here. And we may actually, in our meeting, we were sort of talking a little bit about this, that they may actually have to unwind the whole damn thing. So let's see how this plays out. We've been talking about Ethereum looking a bit heavy here recently anyway. And it sure looks to me like when we failed through this little channel top here, it looks to me like our next sort of support line is this Gann angle along with the bottom of the channel and a test of value low, and probably coming in to fill in this notch here. And the irony, I mean, the true irony of all of this is all they're doing is they're just unwinding this insanely ridiculous bull run. So typical. And also, too, remember that Ethereum loves to do this. This isn't really out of the question. Last year, right, we had basically the same thing set up where it ran to just absolutely insane levels, right? You can't even see it on this chart. And yeah. TradingView, for whatever it's worth, if you're watching, if anybody that works at TradingView, is watching this video, or anybody who likes using TradingView that happens to know the management of TradingView, major piss off here. I don't know whether they updated their software or whatever, but now our GAN studies, even though you see the lock button here has been selected, these studies are not locking. So it means that I'm going to have to spend a bunch of time lobbying TradingView to try and get this thing fixed. So TradingView, very disappointed in what you've done here to your GAN studies. And the irony of it all is that now for us to do, I would appreciate that, Spencer. If we want to create let's spam these guys until they fix this, this is a really important tool for us. And TradingView's gone and done something here to make this not workable. I don't know what's happened. But the irony of it all is if we actually want to do proper GAN studies, now we have to go over to Coinigy and do them, which is so ironic because they're using TradingView software. Drive you crazy. So anybody who works at TradingView who might be watching this, or anybody who talks to TradingView people, major, you really threw a major a wrench in our technical analysis. This thing theoretically should be locked, and we should set the scale. And as I move this, these lines should not move, but they are. All right, so what I was going to show you was Ethereum basically did, and if we did a one-to-one off of this here, let's set this up correctly. Right, if we do set it up one-to-one, if we do this study correctly, you'll notice then this is what I wanted to show all the level 2ers. So if there's any level 2ers watching this, take a screenshot of this. I tried to show you this at the end of last Saturday's class, but in essence, can everybody see how Ethereum came up to the 78.6 reload zone against the 8-to-1 level and then crapped out? And that's, what I see is there seems to be a lot of repeat, and also too, remember the time of year. In essence, into the fall trough, this thing just cratered. So that's actually what I would expect out of Ethereum if it was just business as usual. So fast forward to today, you can see here we are, September, October kind of thing. You can see the down move is getting going in earnest, and the year end isn't all the way till over here. How does this have to look through into year end? My hunch is it's probably going to look very similar to the way this year ended. So there's my sort of thoughts on Ethereum, and it's just interesting how we have a nice juicy scandal brewing in that space that might facilitate this move here. Okay, sorry. Now, Michael, are we going to do yours? EMC2. Should we go off and look at that? EMC2. All right, Einsteinium. Let's see what the heck we got there. I don't know, sort of mixed bag, nothing really to get too excited about. The problem is when you get these kind of candles, do you see how this basically just defines the range now? Boosh, there's the top end of your range. Boosh, there's the bottom end of your range. And the problem here, just to clarify, Tezos and Ethereum are not related in any way. Tezos, separate project and competitor to Ethereum. Oh, well, that helps. Thanks, sir. I thought why did I get the impression that they were connected? That's hilarious. Okay, so let's temper our enthusiasm about Brian's conversation about that Tezos. Clearly, Brian was misinformed about them being connected. I thought they were. I think the price analysis on Ethereum doesn't change, but I thought maybe that was a fundamental driver. I do like the idea that that Tezos kind of thing, though, could be a major scandal that might just throw the wrench in the works. But thank you, Payment, for that clarification. Kevin says a lot of people bought into Tezos with ETH. All right, so I'm not quite sure. Michael asks, is Tezos an ERC20 token or not? And Payment says, no, Michael. Okay. Okay, so Gerald says, interesting. For some reason, I thought it was an ERC22. Okay. So, you know, anybody watching out on YouTube, we got a whole bunch of, and you're just like, hey, I'm a lawyer, doctor. I'm going to watch the show and listen to a bunch of crypto experts. We got some pretty damn smart guys here that are crypto, like, I won't swear. Watch your language. This is YouTube. These guys are smarty pantses. And even in the lounge here, as they're chit-chatting, I see that there's some debate as to exactly what these things are and how they act and all that. If anything, Alex, we need to do another one of our shows. Well, I wonder what happened to those Coinigy guys. I hope they're doing okay. But maybe we need an injection of Alex in here as well. And actually, it'd be really interesting to see how his Ubix story's going. So, all right. So, Einsteinium. Let's talk a little Einsteinium. What do I see here? You know, we sort of talked a little bit about these candle wicks and tails. This is going to make quote unquote trading a little bit difficult. You can see the value here, right? So value low, not a bad idea to try and be a buyer. Below value down in here. And conversely, when we got above value, you can see that, you know, even though the volume bars were pretty thick, up top here, not a lot of buyers. So it doesn't surprise me that we're just sort of playing ping pong with the POC. POC is getting pretty darn thick here, which is interesting. See how much data we have on this thing. Well, it goes back quite a ways here, right? This thing's been trading for a while, eh? Interesting. All right, so if you want to pick up some stinky cheap coins, I think the market's telling you exactly where you want to be shopping. And interestingly enough, if we do good old Fibos off of this range, actually from this low up to this high, what do you think the odds are? Our Kavarkanator is probably very interested down in this level. I'd probably say pretty good. All right, let's see. Kavarkanator. Where are you, Kavarkanator? All right, so Kavarkanator is sitting right there. Actually, that's interesting. So Kavarkanator, work your bids right in these tails right in here, right at the bottom of value, and you see the little notch right here. And so if I wanted to be a buyer of this thing, I would be concentrating on 0.0374. So 0.0375. Why don't we call it that? That's not a bad level to concentrate on. You can see internally, bit problematic. M's are never good signs. So we got an M in Willie that came in here. Not even stupid yet, which is scary. And M's in OBV here. MACD's given us just some wild momentum signals here, nothing really solid. You can see the nice W action that set up this rally. That's sort of petered out. If anything, I like to call this a momentum crash here. So really what we have to do as technicians is watch this pattern here develop. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if we maybe come down, zip down into this level, tag the 200 period SMA, MACD does not make a new low. We start creating divergence here, which sets up the next bull. So I don't mind the idea. Just keep your spidey senses peeled for sort of this 0.3, right? 0.25 to 0.3 area as sort of your potential bottoming zone down in there. Okay, who else? XLM. If anything, got to be a little bit cautious about XLM now. We've had the rally. Hopefully everybody's gotten at the very least free coins here. You can see clearly we slammed into a 200 period moving average. I would argue at best right now we have a moving average sandwich going on here. Probably just a good shout out to everybody. We've talked lots about the profit potential on a name like this going forward. I think there's a lot of money to be made here. But at the same time, too, there is absolutely no guarantees in this business whatsoever. None. Just get used to that, guys. We are speculating, which means that sometimes we're just going to be outright wrong. So don't put yourself into a position where if you are wrong, the game is over. That's just, honestly, that's just stupidity. And I did see one of our alumni who, he's very good at his fundamental analysis. And I think he was mentioning to the community that this does have a lot of upside. But I was a little concerned that we're throwing risk modeling out the window. You have to remember your absolute number one job. I don't care how in love with a market or an asset you are in. I don't care. Your number one job, your goal in life is to make sure that you can come back and play the game again tomorrow. No ifs, ands, or buts. Well, maybe one but that's my butt, and it's a big fat butt. Sorry. But the point here is, and I need Spencer in my life to get rid of my fat butt. Yeah, anyway, I'm just joking. Spencer's like a total He-Man dude. Anyway, yeah, I know, but it's scary because if I commit, I know you're going to fucking run me into the ground, man. But he's sitting there. He's just saying, Brian, I'm waiting for you. When are you going to step up and be a man? I'm waiting. I'm sitting here waiting. I know, and I'm scared. I'm a little girly man. Oh, no. Anyway, back to our story. Sorry. So the point here, guys, is, oh, no, there's one. Oh, Jesus. All right. Busted. I'm dead. All right, anyway, moving on. I do believe that there is money to be made here. I do believe it. I don't argue that one bit. I think, but the point here is hopefully everybody can see if we can sneak in off the bottom here on these kind of rallies, this can produce a risk-free trade for us. That's the whole point of this. If I buy down here and I sell half on a double, maybe you could even have squeezed out a sell a third on a triple. But I don't really care. Your number one job right off the bat is get yourself in a risk-free position. Get your money back in your hands so then that way, if this thing does go belly up, so fucking what? Excuse me, the YouTube audience, big swear word there, but really important. Always play from a position of strength. Really, we have no idea what's going to happen here. I think on balance, the story's pretty good. But going all in and betting the farm on one asset is asking for trouble. All right? Brian built 2 rules to investing. I know I did, Steve. I'm sorry. We have 2 rules of investing. And when I was a broker, my number one job was, of course, to keep these people alive. Don't let them blow their accounts up. So this is why I created these 2 rules. Number 1, try and figure out some sort of analogical, is that a right word? Analog, no, that's not the right word. Analytical? Algorithmic process to, thank you, Kevin. Couldn't find the word there. To your decision-making process. Try and make it, you guide people out on YouTube. You're not even members of the site. Write this crap down, right? You're getting this for free. Try and create a, if this happens, and that happens, and that happens, I go ahead and risk my money. Because I've gone and vetted this over a period of time, and I see that when this happens, and this happens, and this happens, a favorable outcome happens more than 50% of the time. That's what we have to do as traders. So what I really want to see from you guys, though, is the second rule. And the second rule, I would argue, and I teach students this, but the irony of it all is that people usually fall asleep when I start talking about the second rule. Second rule just simply says, do not risk more than 5% of your stake, what you've got to work with. Don't risk more than 5% of that on any one single idea. Daniel, did you feel like you had a good session here today? Did I give you any value? Awesome. You take it easy, bud. Want to see your tutorials. Don't be a stranger. All right. Take it easy, bud. Cheers. And I still got to make my, oh, he's gone. Oh, well. I got to get my butt down to LA. All right. So the point of the matter here, great idea on XLM. We had wonderful fundamental drivers, fundamental input from our really good fundamental analysts in our community. We've got some great, just brilliant people in this space. Trade worked out really well. We all made great money, banging off doubles, banging off triples, whatever. It's beautiful, and it was great in the lounge to see a lot of new people to trading going, terrible altcoin market. This is ridiculous. Everybody's getting wiped out, but I'm banging out doubles. Look at me. Woohoo. So, I mean, that's awesome. I absolutely love when I wake up in the morning and I see that from our lounge members. It's just the best. But going forward now here, I think we have to temper our enthusiasm. The play has been played. And now, if anything, let's let things calm down again. They might bring the market right back down against these lows. And also, too, guys, and this is why I really mention all of this today, you all need to be aware that we spend a lot of time, and I don't know whether it's on this chart, but we spent a lot of time picking this chart apart a while ago. And it turns out there are some price gaps down here that still need to be filled in, which tells me that if this thing does need to crap out, here are our levels. And for whatever it's worth, guys, I still have my bids working at these levels. I pulled a bunch of old orders through the weekend. I just sort of went through my order book. I did not pull these buy orders. They are still working at 256 and 153. And it isn't that far of a stretch in my mind that they come down. Everybody in the public, of course, is rah bull now. Whoops, can we just throw ourselves on mute, please? Everybody's rah bull now. Somebody help that gentleman. Thank you, Casey. Everybody's rah bull now. So what do? They go and break a bunch of hearts by going and fishing against these lows. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. So please be careful here, guys. And like I said, when we get these, get those sell half on a double orders going right away, because sometimes it'll just be zing, zing, kind of like our VTC today. If I wasn't on the ball, and I got it, first thing I do in the morning is, of course, pull these coins up and look at them. But, whoops, that's versus US dollar. If I wasn't on the ball here, I would have missed this trade. It would have just been gone. So you got to have those open orders working at your levels, guys. Super, super, super duper, ooper, snooper, pooper important. Grab that sound bite and put it in your pipe and smoke it. Okay, Trig XVG. Somebody's trying to sneak in two there. Oh, 3. You want me to do 3? Jeez. We'll give you 1, Kevin, and then I actually have to get ready for Liam, because Liam is going to need me. So of those 3, which one do you want me to look at? Are you here? Kevin, is that you? Strat, S-T-R-A-T. Okay, I'll look at that one. And hopefully all you YouTubers, we have quite a few people. There's like 50 people on YouTube watching this right now. If you YouTubers, yeah, I think we did Strat recently too. That sounds familiar, right? If you YouTubers want to participate, we have an open hangout here, and there's about 25 people or so in the hangout right now. So that's one of the added benefits of being a site member. 30 bucks a month, pretty cheap. You get to sit and interact with me on a daily basis. Interesting looking little chart here. I think we've talked about this recently. Probably like reload zone, a little bit dangerous with the hole in the profile as big as it is here. But interesting how we're getting some short-term pivots here. So you can definitely see the coil in momentum. This thing's building towards something. Something big's about to happen here. I don't know the fundamental story, and just like that Trazer, Tezos, whatever the fuck it is, I'm not obviously the FA specialist here. That's for darn sure. So it'll be interesting if anybody wants to go and pull down the fundamental drivers here on this thing. But I can definitely see there's a big wedge that's forming here. The only problem, of course, is if we just do these really simple angles, it kind of looks to me like it lost the bottom of this triangle here, eh? Huge battle here. Monster battle. What we'd really like to see is the volume come in. Great signs on momentum. Really, we want to see the bull step in here. But, moving averages, they're still pointing down. 200 SMA is going to be a major resistance level there. And profile looks wrong here. Something just doesn't look right about this. So I think if anything, if you're asking for Grand Poobah's sort of prognostication, I think, if we do hold this W here, then we're probably going to rally up in against these highs, the top of value here. You might get one of these sort of insane sort of wiki kind of bars that go zing, right up on the top here. It's trying desperately to hold these lows. And actually, this is a really good anecdote of that horizontal support and resistance concept, because I think what's happening here is whoever put the bottom in the market here and here, right? I think that's the floor that they're trying to defend right here. So, I don't know if you know the story of this coin, but it looks to me like if you can try and sneak in nibbles down against these lows, that's not a terrible idea. I think it's a bit early for us to get too rah-rah bull. And, also considering seasonality, I wouldn't be surprised to see some back and forth here. It's encouraging, don't get me wrong. And then, of course, if we lose these levels in here, probably this tail. Be interesting to see what the fundamental news for all those that are really rah-rah Stratus story people. What was the fundamental news around this event here? Why did the market stop here and then reverse higher? So whatever the story is that drove this rally, it started right here. So, Kevin, you asked us to look at this, right? So try and figure out what the fundamental story was back last May. That's the key here. What was going on there last April, May? Who were the players, and are they still interested in this story? All right, so that's about the most I can give you on that guy. Interesting, not really pound the table. Very interesting, and a little bit lower. And cheap-ass Brian actually might start getting really interested in this. Don't like the look of this. This looks a little bothersome in here. But nonetheless, you're not coming in and buying the fluff. That's, if anything, half of my job, guys, is just to simply stop people from buying through this. We had a site member who had a coin NEO or NEOS, or I think it was NEO. And he came onto the site all rah, and we literally had to talk him off of the wall, the ledge. Okay? Just say, you can't be a buyer here. Cool your jets. Wait for it to come back down to earth. So, if you're watching on this YouTube and you take the simple message, I have learned from now on, I cannot chase. I'm not allowed to buy up markets. Then I've won. I've done my job. Woohoo! Now, as we're coming down into levels, right, we have to think like institutions, buying against lows, selling against highs. I don't mind the idea that, at least the community is like, hey, you know what, this is something at least we can start getting interested in now. So I like that perspective. Okay, I think we gave you about an hour and a half there today, guys. So what did you think? We don't have Mo here today, so I don't know if we have our value metric, but let's ask maybe some general site members. Bagra, what do you think? Any value out of what we got here today for you? Change. Christine, what do you think, Christine? There's somebody I haven't seen before. I think we've seen you once or twice. Yep, you feel all right. On balance, I'm hearing some positive feedback. All right, so maybe go back and look through the charts, look through the video if you want to pick apart stuff. And by all means, if you have any questions about anything that you've seen today, more than happy to try and answer them for you. Okay, so I have to get my ass in gear, head off to the North Shore, and have a great afternoon with the boy. You all have yourselves a great rest of your day. All the best. And bye for now.